There is no available photograph of Richard McAllister, a man who became one of the nation's most notorious fugitive slave commissioners in the 1850s. McAllister was also a graduate of Dickinson College in the class of 1840. He was born and raised near Harrisburg, on one of the last slaveholding plantations in Pennsylvania. After he left college and spent some time in the South, McAllister became a rising lawyer and Democrat in central Pennsylvania, but his pro-slavery leanings only came into full focus in 1850, when he was appointed U.S. Commissioner for the region and tasked with enforcing the controversial Fugitive Slave Law. The statute was part of the Compromise of 1850 and made it easier for Southern slaveholders to recapture runaways who had secretly journeyed to the northern free states. From his Harrisburg office, McAllister masterminded the hunt for black freedom seekers, using whatever tactics he could. In the pre-dawn hours, McAllister dispensed with any semblance of fair hearings, separated families, and colluded with slave owners. McAllister was proud of his controversial efforts. "More fugitives have been remanded by me than any other U.S. commissioner," he bragged in one letter. Yet his critics were appalled. One abolitionist editor called McAllister probably the worst of all the northern slave-catching officials. The commissioner believed his enforcement of the law would help launch him into national politics, but in this ambition he was repeatedly frustrated. McAllister eventually resigned his commissionership and complained to politician Simon Cameron, "I had a right to expect that in the case of success, the Democratic Party would indemnify me for my loss and reward me for services which no other man in the state would render." Instead, McAllister was forced to pack up and begin a new life in the American West, spending time in Kansas and Iowa, serving in minor roles for the Pierce and Buchanan administrations, until the outbreak of the Civil War rejuvenated his career. McAllister was a strong Unionist who served in the military under Generals Samuel Curtis and Ulysses S. Grant. After the war, McAllister moved to Washington, D.C., where he practiced law and was a distinguished member of the bar until his death in 1887. None of his obituaries, however, mention the most significant phase of his life, as one of the nation's most notorious fugitive slave commissioners.